This is where it starts to turn. You've come this far with me, the boy on his own, a kid in the wind, where the lessons start adding up to something, where the man you see now started taking shape. This is the payoff for riding all the way through. So let's finish it. The whole archive is here, so subscribe to the channel and let's keep it going, because we're just getting started.
The life that I do live.
Ricky put me to work, and it really was a life-changing experience for me. Ricky was a high energy guy, and his crew was all around the same age as him. I was the baby of the bunch at 16 years old at this time. I might even be pushing 17 at this point. And I'll never forget, like the presence that we carried onto job sites. We'd pull in that big ass yellow truck, stereo blaring, KC lights all around the rack. And what we did was what's referred to as piecework, okay? And so we would pull onto big, enormous apartment complexes that are being built, acres and acres of buildings. And all we would bid was the trusses, basically the roof system, the trusses to the sheeting. That's all we did. And we did it like assembly line, and we worked fast and we worked hard. And so we all would frame with 16-ounce rigging axes. We'd keep those things razor sharp. You could just pull out that hammer and go to town, take care of business right there, and be on to the next thing. The more square footage that we would put together, the more we would get paid anyhow. And Ricky had already established a reputation for himself. We'd pull onto jobs, and I'm not even kidding you, man. Like, we would pull onto a new job, and within the first day, any other crew that was doing what we would do would literally roll up their shit and leave. They knew they couldn't work as hard as they didn't want to work as hard as we did. And back in those days too, man, like, we're talking the late 80s, job sites, there was no HR, right? You ran your gums, you got your I dotted right there. There was no talking about it. It was a rough and tumble kind of deal, and it fit me just fine. Because I was used to that kind of environment. But yeah, we worked our asses off, man. And I had an enormous sense of pride in working with these guys that were just no holds barred, no fucks given. We went to work. We'd turn that stereo up, and you knew that Ricky's crew was on the job. And and I met one of my best friends on the entire planet, a man by the name of Mark. He was from Germany. He had actually flown over from Germany and come to live in Oregon and live with Ricky. And like, we just had this dynamic thing going on, man. And I'm so grateful and blessed that I found my way into that at the time. The first time I left home at 15, I found my way into dealing drugs. And this time I found my way into men that were entrepreneurs, that knew how to work hard, that knew how to present themselves to the world. It was an eye-opener for me. And it was an education, like on the job, right here, right now. This is what life is like. When I look back on that season now, I don't look at the abuse or the abandonment. I think about how sometimes we're forced to grow up. I think about what it means to be left behind and to still move forward. I haven't thought about this chapter of my life in the way that I have preparing to share this story with you in decades. And I'm glad that I'm doing this, because it's helping me remember and realize I didn't know it then, but that little hut was the beginning of a life that I was going to build for myself. I've also realized that Ricky and Uncle Rick, and they didn't just provide me with a job and a place to stay. They exposed me to an entire different way of looking at life at a time when I thought I had nothing to offer the world. Up until that time, I hadn't spent any time around people with an entrepreneur mindset or spirit. I hadn't been around men that were building things, building themselves, building the people around them, and creating their own path. When I look at my life now, owning a mortgage company, having owned and built several several businesses over the years in different industries and always just instinctively looking for something to create. I realized that I can trace a lot of that back to that season of my life and those men and women that gave me the opportunity to grow and to watch and to learn. Because in the middle of one of the hardest seasons of my life, I got exposed to a different model of what a man's life can look like. If you're building something in your business, in your life, in your body, in your spirit, you're welcome here. If you're enjoying following my journey, consider subscribing to the channel so that you can stay connected with the work that I'm doing here. My name is Aaron Myra, and I'm still building.